Welcome to episode 6 of Sailing Quick Creations. This week we're getting battled by the weather. It's raining, it's sunny, it's cold, it's hot, it's windy, but we're trying to get some jobs done in between the rain, and I've tried to cut some holes in the boat, and we're going to continue on with the workshop as well. So we're going to go through our whiteboard today, and we've got 3 columns here: completed, in progress, and to-do lists. So over here in the completed section, we've got our workshop lighting. Father-in-law came down and helped us install that. Blasting the hull. That took me 5 days to blast the hull. We hired a blaster, and it's a slurry blaster. It mixes water, high pressure air, and shot garnet, and took all the old paint and corrosion off of the hull. That was a lot of hard work. I haven't blasted before, and yeah, it's not as easy as it looked. We got painting the workshop, and we completed all that last week. Benches and shells went in the other day. Undercoated the hull. Only took me 2 days to undercoat the hull versus 5 days for blasting. We used Intershield 803 for the undercoat. It's an abrasive resistant epoxy. It's used in icebreakers. They undercoat the hull of an icebreaker in this paint. Very abrasive resistant to go through the ice. It's also food grade, and a lot of grain cargo ships will have it on the internal hull, and they'll line their hull in just 803, and they'll fill it up for the grain, and as the grain slides down, it's abrasive resistant stock. It doesn't wear out the paint and go back to bare metal, and you'll get contaminated grain if you do that, and you'll also get holes in your boat. So it's a good undercoat. I'm pretty impressed with its performance, and hopefully it'll last the test of time on our boat. So over in progress, we've still got the whiteboard and pegboard in this column. I've made a start on the pegboard. It's up, and I've now got some tools on there, but I've got to still bring some more tools down, and we'll finish that off next week. Over here we've got the to-do: install new portholes, install new windows, repair the bow, install hatches, the workshop roof, and painting the hull. I've just written up 2 new ones here, which is cockpit corrosion. I started that today. Dissimilar metals. I also started that today as part of cutting out the corrosion, and we'll put them onto a card and we'll move them over to the in progress section. So you'll see in this video we started cutting out the dissimilar metals, and we cut out the corrosion in the cockpit. So hopefully that all goes nicely. I'm going to get the new steel to weld in, and we'll continue on with that. But that's basically our to-do list. Painting the hull is different to undercoating. We do want to go ahead and put the fairing compound on and do the gel coat, which is a big job. So that one is this one's going to take a while and probably sit over here for a little while. We've got the new hatches. They came in the other day, so we'll open them up, have a look. The portholes and windows, the wife and I are going to have to decide what sort of look we want to go with. We are hoping to go with long slimline squared off windows. We don't like the round nautical looking windows that we've currently got. So we're going to have a play with some different shapes. If we can't get a generic off-the-shelf porthole, we'll make our own and just fit them out with acrylic and put them in. So hopefully that's going to be a fun job. one task we want to look at getting into is the steering column here. It's definitely in the wrong spot. I'm not happy with it being here. So if you look at where I can see, we've got our steering wheel here, and I'm looking out over the Dodger here. I can't really see any of the boat at all. I mean, you'll be able to see the mast when it's on, and that's it. I'd like to see the very front of the boat at least. And when you're out here, you're out in the weather, all the rain, all the winds coming at you, splashes up from the sea. The original design was to have it down here, and then you have your Dodger and you're protected from the elements. So I'd like to see it come back down here. A few of the other mechanical issues would be, with it being up here, here is the aft cabin. When you drill your hole for your cables to come down, all the wiring and all the cables you can see inside your cabin. You can't hide them at all. So by moving it back forward here into the cockpit area, below this is the motor room. It makes sense to have all the cables go through the motor room where no one's going to see them. They're not going to be ugly. So the other thing I like is when you're up here, there's nothing to do. You can't sit, you have to stand the whole time. And then if you put it in the middle of the cabin here, I can sit down while steering the wheel, and then I look out here and I can see everything. So that's what I'd prefer. Also thinking about having the winches up on here, so if I'm having a sail and have to rig for a winch or something, I could do it all within arm's length. If you're up here, you've got to get down and walk forward to do any of the reefing. So it only makes sense to bring it up forward. Now cut my post off here. I've deburred it. I don't have all my grinding discs here, so I'm just going to leave that a bit proud for now until we get some more. I've taken all the rust off with my trusty wire wheel here. I've still got to weld up this hole before I undercoat and prime and grind all this down, and it'll be like it was never here. For now, I'm just going to tape this hole up with some alley tape so we don't get any water inside the boat, and we'll address that another day. Continuing on with the cockpit area, I've got a lot of corrosion down the bottom here. I'm going to look at cutting some of that out today, and we'll look at measuring it up to get a new piece put in. So after blasting, it showed a large area of corrosion down here. I can put my hand all the way through into the boat. Goes all the way along. It's not so bad here, but then we've got little holes up here again and a hole in the corner. So we'll just replace that whole piece there, get a nice standard size piece, fit it in. On the other side there's a little bit of corrosion just down here, big enough for my finger to go in, but it's a good thing and bad thing that this boat has been sitting here that long that it's actually started to lean to one side. So all the water's basically just pulled on that one side, and that's why that's corroded more than the other side. We don't want it to be continuing to lean all the time, so we'll have to get this boat leveled. But that's a job for another day. For now, we'll do the cockpit corrosion. I don't know if you can see, but I don't think I've got a lot of time left today, so I've got to get to it. Let's get some cutting done. So flat bar comes in a lot of standard sizes, and one of the most common to get will be 100mm flat bar. It means I won't have to cut anything, I won't have to make a piece too fit. If I mark all this out at 100mm, then I can just buy 1.2 meters of 100 by 3mm flat bar, and then it'll be nice, easy weld. Well, it's much easier to cut this end piece off from inside the boat. So you can see we cut that rust out there. Nice parent material at the top here. And then we have to cut the welds off this little stiffener here. Just continue these a little bit to the end. Come down, cut that little bit off in the corner there. This boat has been sitting here this long. We've got birds nesting in the corners. They're gone now that we started working on the boat, but they were here when we started looking at it. In another coming episode, we'll get another walkthrough done. Last time I did the walkthrough, I had a bad camera and we were balancing on these beams here. Not as easy as it looks. All this black stuff is all the garnet that I use when I blast the external hull. This will come inside some of it and I'll have to vacuum it all out. Trying to patch up all the holes so that we don't get this water in the bilge. Currently don't have a bilge pump, so it'd be nice to get that all cleaned up. Get this boat watertight. Back down in the aft cabin, and the next job I'm going to try and get a start on is this plate here. You can see it's galvanised steel welded to mild steel. Now it's not going to cause major issues, but basically what you're looking at is galvanised is more noble than steel on the corrosion rate. So the steel around it is going to sacrifice itself much quicker than the galv section. So really, just to make everything trouble-free and you don't have to worry about it, remove the galvanized steel and replace it with normal mild steel like the rest of the boat is, so they all corrode at the same rate. So let's get cutting this out if the weather lets me. It's starting to rain soon, so let's get cracking. We've got this piece of steel out. As you can see, it wasn't that great. That's the inboard side, outboard side. Here's a little bit average. And just throw that off the deck there. Now we've got a nice strip piece that can be welded in. She must have been under a bit of pressure because that's slightly bowed just there. So I'll either have to tack on a straight bar on here to straighten that up before I weld, or I'll weld on an eyelet and use a block and tackle to pull that back into alignment. Not a hard job, but we'll have to go get some steel for it. So our new hatches came in and we're going to unbox them and see how they look. Here's the Vitas hatches that we've chosen. We've got the slimline hatch. Only actually sits about 23 to 24 mil off the deck there. It's got the tinted window. It opens up. These ones only open up 90 degrees. But we've got these little locks here. As you twist them, you can lock it in position. So you can't blow over again. You can lock them in any position, any angle. And then you just twist them. And then that's locked in position at any angle between 0 and 90. They've got the locks, you can open them internal and external of the boat, and they've got the anodized aluminium finish on them. Very nice looking hatch. We've got two of these going on the boat, one in the aft cabin and we're going to put one in the forward cabin. As you can see by the designs of the bow, they wanted two hatches in the sail locker area and one hatch at the back. So we'll have to move and replace that forward hatch and put it in the correct position. But yeah, happy with how these came out, and we're going to install these in the next couple of weeks. That brings this week's episode to an end. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed it. The weather is just going nuts at the moment. I've got to pack up and end it before all the wind comes and blows us away. So hopefully everyone's enjoyed the video. We are going to continue on next week with repairing those pieces I've cut out and put some new steel in. And we'll look at maybe taking some of the dissimilar metals off the front of the bow there, the galvanized sheeting they put on. So stay tuned for the next couple of weeks and you'll see some big improvements. Thanks everyone.